So apparently I'm still making modifications and variants for my M4 Sherman tank. I don't know why. I am definitely having lots of fun doing it though, so let's get into another generic showcase of another random thing I built. Hello beautiful viewers, welcome to another one of my strange little videos on my strange little channel about the strange little things that I make. Today's video is covering another variation of my custom M4 Sherman tank build. I wanted to go on the line and kind of work on a bunch of different Sherman variants, just as is, because I figured that there were quite a few of them. I found lots of interesting versions, and it was such a sort of modifiable, if that's even a word, sort of a useful chassis that was used at the time. The M4 Sherman saw lots of different changes over the course of the war and had lots of modification, so I figured it'd be fun to kind of do some of those the same way I was working on some Panzer camouflage. I thought it'd be fun to do some M4 Sherman variants. Yeah, so as is, this is ultimately my same Sherman model. The tutorials for building this Sherman are on my channel, not this specific one, but my base model is available on my channel. If anyone has any interest in doing that, you can watch them for free and you can build it if you have the pieces. Outside of this, what makes this one inherently different? I wanted to do one of the deep wading Shermans, as you can tell. Essentially, the short history on this is on some of the D-Day landings and in some of the jungle territory in the Pacific Islands, there were Shermans designed with these big snorkel bits on the ends of them, which are these huge improvised duct tubes that came off the back of the engine decks to make sure that the engines could breathe, even if the tank was submerged underwater. All the way up to past the pipes, instead of the exhaust having to come out the bottom. So I love that idea. I've seen some of them. I saw some cool pictures and stuff too, and I wanted to do my own deep wading Sherman, which is what I've done. The inherent changes to the actual base model are not tremendous at all, really. The actual model is fairly similar. I go through them and make changes periodically. I changed my mantlet a little bit from my old base model and the barrel length of the gun, and I've made changes sort of as I've gone down the line. Just sort of modifying this build as it is, because that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to building things like this. But the only real change is the fact that I did these breathing vents on the back of it, which I think turned out pretty nice. They're fairly smooth. I didn't have the right pieces necessarily in the dark gray color, so I used some lighter gray color. I think it looks okay. If I find some more or order some more pieces, I'll probably end up doing it differently. But for now, this is what it is. I wanted to do specifically a Pacific Theater Sherman, which is what this is supposed to be. I don't know that it's very good, and I might change sort of the armament of it and sort of how it's all arranged later. I hadn't built any tanks or tank variants from this Pacific Theater during World War II, and I wanted to give that a try. But I couldn't find very much information specifically on the Pacific Theater Shermans, though I know they were used. But I did want to do the snorkel variant, so I kind of blended that together, and I wanted to make essentially a Pacific Theater Sherman. So I added extra mud at the tracks, sandbags, and sort of irrational boarding to the outside to hopefully help protect it. A bit of a palm tree log, some extra stowage supplies. Essentially, I wanted to make it have a little more wear and tear and look like it had kind of, you know, been through the ringer as the Marines were, as far as the Pacific Theater was and how hard it was on the men, and I wanted it to show that it was really hard on the vehicle. I kind of did a poor job, I think, because I kept the Sherman fairly clean. I wanted to practice like a mud detail on it, or maybe change some more pieces, but instead all I really did was sandbags, and I lost the 50 cal on the back, but then everything else is about the same as it is. But the changing the snorkel gear was the main thing I wanted to actually try. I make an effort in my videos to not sound redundant, so I'm not really going to go over the features of the Sherman too much, because there have so many other videos on them, and I don't want to waste anybody's time concerning what I'm actually saying or doing. So the other changes are very small. I wanted to add some other details like antennas and stuff, but with these tubes, it kind of got in the way. I did change a little bit of the back here. I added the stoplights, which some of the Shermans had. I like to appreciate little changes and stuff, just variety, because I ultimately could build a bunch of Shermans if I wanted and have them changed. I was going to do some damage to the outside of this turret, like maybe a shell had bounced off of it. I couldn't figure that out the way that I wanted it to, though I'm still considered doing like a decrepit, like shot down Sherman later. That didn't end up doing that. The interior, as per usual, is the same. I always consider changing the interior, but it doesn't mean that much. And these are just my American tankers. I don't know if the Marine Corps tankers, they probably looked different, though I don't have any Marine Corps tanker guys. So it is the same. It's the same engine, the same shells, same space for the same amount of minifigures. So again, it's not tremendously exciting, but I'm trying to practice sort of just getting better at building different kinds of things and trying to make different versions of these a little more exciting. So I thought it'd be fun to make a tiny little video here just to show off the deep wading gear on my Sherman. But it's the same tank ultimately, and there are tutorials anyway if people want to build the model. But yeah, I just want to get a chance to kind of show that off in case anyone wanted to see it. I personally love watching little videos and stuff where people talk about changes and things that they do and stuff like this. So it's the kind of content that I enjoy. So it's the kind of content that I make. So when it comes to me, I just kind of figure it'd be fun to sort of put something out like this in case anyone wanted to see variants, and still get a chance to talk about it instead of just some sort of kind of redundant showcase of the same thing. So this is my Pacific Theater deep wading Sherman. There's not much more to it. Again, it's pretty much the base model. There's not too much more to it that's actually that exciting, but I like it as it is. I think it looks pretty neat, pretty clean, and if I end up making more modifications to it, I will definitely end up making more videos on it. But as far as this goes, I am done. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending some time with me. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day. I am out. Peace.